Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are San Diego.
On a beautiful Saturday afternoon in San Francisco, Manuel Margot getting ready to go against Matt Cain. Hit a pair of homers against him in the home opener at Petco Park back in April, looking to continue that success here this afternoon. Success all season long for Buster Posey once again, including last night a 3-double game against the Padres as the Giants took game 1 of this final series of the 2017 regular season. Welcome back to AT&T Park and inside the broadcast booth with Mark Sweeney and Bob Scanlon. I'm a very small Jesse Agler. And Bob, Jhoulys Chacín getting the start today for the Padres. He has taken the ball each and every time this season, really anchored this rotation.
He really has, and I don't think the Padres could be any happier with what he's provided them so far this season. When you consider that he had not made more than 30 starts since 2013, the fact that he's making his 32nd start for the Padres today, and that 25 of his starts so far this season, he's allowed 3 earned runs or less. It's a great credit once again to Darren Balsley, Doug Bachler. They've done a fantastic job with them, and the big thing that they did is they gave him confidence in his slider. You see him using the fastball, but it's been the slider that's been the difference maker for him so far this season, and not only has he done it on the field, but he's also done a great job of being a mentor to some of these young guys.
No doubt about it. So Chacín gets the start for the final time this year for the Padres, and for the final time as a big leaguer, your former teammate Matt Cain on the hill today.
Has a lot to do with the history with the San Francisco Giants, and Matt Cain is a big reason for that. 13 years as a pro, all in one uniform. That perfect moment, the perfect game, the only perfect game in Giants history, but also our World Series champion 3 times over. Matt Cain has been an example of this pitching staff, and he continues to do it. He's going to do it for one final time today.
So Matt Cain will put a cap on the big league career today, and the Padres are going to try and spoil the swan song. Make no mistake about it, he has struggled this year, and he has not beaten the Padres since 2015. Game 2 of this final 3-game series coming up from San Francisco. Brought to you by Sycuan Casino. Play, win together in the heart of San Diego. and by the all-new 2017 Subaru Impreza. Subaru symmetrical all-wheel drive plus 28 miles per gallon. More than a car, it's a Subaru. Just a beautiful day here in San Francisco. Game 2 of this 3-game series and the final big league start in the 13-year Major League career of Matt Cain. First pitch to Manuel Margot, swung on and fouled away, 0-1. Mark Sweeney, Bob Scanlon, quite an ovation for Matt Cain when he took the hill this afternoon.
Pretty emotional day for the San Francisco Giants organization, also Matt Cain. And what do you expect from admiration of the right-hander?
Cain will turn 33 years old tomorrow. He has not pitched since late August. That's the other thing going on here. It's been a tough couple of years for Matt Cain. Certainly this year, that's a big part of the decision to hang it up. But now on 29 days rest. Margot going to try and bunt his way aboard. That's the third baseman, Ryder Jones. Nice play. One away.
Well, Jesse, emotional day, and you know what? The respect for the guys playing behind him for Matt Cain is going to be very important to watch today. And you see Ryder Jones making a fabulous play at third base. They understand how important this is to Matt Cain. They'd like to send him out.
Ryder Jones, very possibly the third baseman of the future here in San Francisco. Something for them to figure out. Carlos Asuaje takes way away. 1 ball and no strikes.
You know, you have to wonder what the emotion is going through Matt Cain at this point. Not everybody gets the opportunity to know that it is their last time on a major league field. He gets that chance, but he's always performed well in big situations before.
Asuaje out to right center field. Pence on the run. Wobbles, makes the catch. 2 down, and we take a look at the Padre lineup brought to you by Toyota. You've already seen Manuel Margot. You've already seen Carlos Asuaje. Will Myers coming up next with Solarte, Villanueva, Spangenberg, Renfroe, Hedges, and the pitcher Jolice Chacin to follow. Cain has gotten the first 2, and now he gets Will Myers. Will trying to become the Padres' first 30 home run guy since 2012, and a breaking ball for a strike. 0-1.
We've seen early in this game Matt Cain is being very aggressive. Doesn't surprise me. You wonder how many pitches he's going to throw today, but he's going to empty the tank, and why not?
Yeah, the Giants said probably 60 to 70 pitches would be the max when you consider just sort of his physical state. But of course the game could change. And if he's out there twirling a gem and he says he feels good, there'd be no reason for them to take him out. But that's putting a lot of carts before the horse.
Yeah, no, guys, there's no pressure on Matt Cain today. There's a lot of pressure on Bruce Bochy, how he's going to handle the exit of Matt Cain. I think a manager would love to just pick out that perfect time. Maybe he's slowing down a little bit. Maybe he's going a little too long. And you like to take him out during an inning.
Myers hammers that one to deep left field. Is it going to stay fair? No. Time now for the weather report, brought to you by your always sunny San Diego Honda dealers. Nice day at AT&T Park in San Francisco. Clear skies, comfortable temperatures. Good place for day baseball. Matt Cain misses, and now a full count to Myers.
Well, let's take a look at the scouting report from Matt Cain. Turns 33 tomorrow, so he is having an emotional start, as we've touched on earlier. 13-year veteran, 3-time All-Star, also 3-time world champion, and he has done it in one uniform.
Payoff pitch to Myers, and he got him. Matt Cain works a 1-2-3 top of the first and punctuates it with a strikeout.
will be on the mound tonight for the Padres.
There's good action on that slider.
Strike 3 call.
Very, very good for Jhoulys Chacín.
All down by way of the K. Swing and a miss.
Jhoulys Chacín out there making his 32nd start of the season. That ties a career high. Giants lineup brought to you by Hyundai. Hunter Pence will lead off once again. Pretty much the same look as last night for Bruce Bochy. The only change is with Posey going behind the dish from first base. Jones at third. Sandoval was there yesterday, so Nick Hundley, the only guy who was in the lineup last night, not in the lineup this afternoon in game 161. Fastball misses and ready to go with Hunter Pence, who's just 7 for 33 in his career against Chacín. Some of those numbers, of course, go back to Jhoulys's previous starts, not just with the Padres, Colorado, Arizona. And I think, Bob, when I think about Jhoulys Chacín here in 2017, it's maybe that number of starts as much as anything that stands out. It's easy to forget at this point. He had not been a full-time starter for a couple of years.
That was the big question coming out of spring training as he was making the rotation. How would he hold up over a full season of grabbing the ball every 5th day? And he's been absolutely outstanding, Jesse, not only in terms of taking the ball, but he actually had a streak in the middle of the season from July through August where he put together 12 consecutive outings of 2 earned runs or less, something a Padre hadn't done in 5 years.
2 balls and 2 strikes now, and so much of the success based on that slider. And Mark, it doesn't look like the most comfortable pitch to try and hit.
No, especially from the right-handed hitter's perspective. It has that depth that I think a lot of people talk about because it looks like a fastball for so long and then drops off the table when it's right.
Drops that one off the end of the bat to first base. Easy for Myers. And 1 down in the bottom of the 1st inning, and the Padre defense is brought to you by your San Diego County Ford dealers. Christian Villanueva getting his 7th start as a big leaguer. He's over at the hot corner. Solarte at short, Asuaje at second, Myers at first. Outfield left to right, Spangenberg, Margot Renfroe, and Austin Hedges behind the dish catching Chacín here this afternoon. Left-hand hitting, Joe Panik.
You know what surprises me, guys, is that it was actually Darren Balsley and Andy Green that had to talk Jhoulys Chacín into using that breaking ball a little bit more. And it's always surprising to me how little confidence guys have in their stuff sometimes.
Yeah, to your point, Bob, it's coming what you see him from another organization's perspective, but you also see the results against you. And Chacín needed to throw his slider a little bit more because that's his best pitch.
Now 3 balls and no strikes to Panik, who was 4 for 5 last night after a 1 for 15 stretch. Really busted out yesterday as the Giants won game 1 of this series 8-0. Padres have struggled on this road trip to LA and San Francisco. And now a strike, 3-1.
And it's situations like this where that slider has been so important for him behind in the count. So often we talk about having to pitch ahead, and in general that's true, but for Jhoulys Chacín, he's been just as effective in getting guys out when he's behind in the count because he can get that slider over.
From 3-0 to 3-2 after a swing and a miss at that one.
Yeah, 89, that looked like a cutter to me, and you watch the depth of this pitch. Comes out of the hands looking like a fastball and then just dives. Might even been a 2-seamer at 89 miles an hour.
Another ground ball. This time it's Asuaje. And 2 away in the bottom of the 1st inning for Jhoulys Chacín. Time now for our keys to the game, brought to you by your San Diego Honda dealers. Here you go, Mark Sweeney.
Well, last night was not very good, so we have to bust out the candy canes. I mean, going against Kane, you have to bring out the bats. The offense has to get on track. And Chacín, he has been very good here at AT&T Park, so 6+ would be fabulous for him.
He has gone at least 5 in every start against the Giants this year. Good success against San Francisco in 2017. And really over the course of his career, he has always pitched well here at AT&T Park. As Denard Span takes a fastball low.
Well, as you know, Bob, it'd be so important for Chacín to finish strong and have that good taste in his mouth going into the offseason.
No question about it. And the Padres would love to be able to sign him back. He's done a great job for him. Span
into center field. That's a base hit. His first AB in the first inning last night did not result in a hit, but it was a key at bat, 10 pitches. And now he sets the table for Buster Posey, who continued to hit last night. 3 more doubles in yesterday's game, and another 150 hit season for the Giant catcher.
A pretty incredible season. Again, not the power numbers, but you see the doubles, the production with the RBIs. You're wondering if health had a lot to do with his power production, but still a menacing force in the batter's box, especially in RBI situations.
Span not necessarily the running threat he once was, but has taken 11 bags this year. And Posey pops the first one out of play. No balls in his strike.
That's the thing I was reminded about most last night in watching Buster Posey's performance. Was we talked about the reduction in power, but you're just reminded this guy can drive in runs. And he only had 64 RBIs going into yesterday's game, but part of that is because he just hasn't had a whole lot of offensive support around him, and he's still put up great numbers. The guy is still a presence in that batter's box, even if the power numbers are down.
Well, you know, Bob, obviously his resume speaks for itself, but he loves facing the Padres.
That's a base hit the other way. Span and Posey with back-to-back 2-out singles. And you said it. I mean, over the course of his career, well over 300 now against the Padres. 19 home runs against San Diego. Gets it done.
But that's what he does so well. That at bat right there. Watch how he carves this into the opposite field. He is one of the best at driving the ball opposite field. And to me, Sweens, as he gets older, he is not a guy that's purely relying on bat speed and trying to pull everything. And this is going to play for a long period of time.
Yeah, and the reason why, because he stays in the strike zone so well. It's very hard to strike out, but also Buster Posey knows he doesn't have to overswing. And you're seeing a lot of that in the game these days, trying to overswing, hit those home runs, but racking up strikeouts.
2 on 2 out for Brandon Crawford, who fouls one down the right field line. For Jhoulys Chacín tonight, his 6th start of the season against the Giants. The last one was back at the end of August at Petco. He allowed 1 run. It came on a homer by the guy at the plate right now, Brandon Crawford. Chacín, the tough luck loss that day at Petco Park. Jeff Samardzija threw the 3-hit shutout against him.
We talked about Chacín's ability to pitch behind in the count. I think one of the things that has been a great weapon for him also is his ability to pitch with runners on base and not give in. He's been able to throw that slider when hitters are trying to be more aggressive. Batting average against him with 2 outs and runners in scoring position, only 206. He doesn't give in, Swings.
No, he doesn't, and that's a tribute to him and his experience.
Had the great year at home. The numbers on the road not as good, but they were spectacular at home. And look, overall, last couple of months they've been good home or away. 2-1, and Crawford center field straight away. And while Margot makes the 2-handed catch, and the inning comes to a close with a couple of men stranded.
driven to right field. Puig going back at the wall. It is gone! Walk-off home run for Yangervis Solarte. Padres win it 6-5.
That was definitely one of the most fun moments of 2017. Padres would sweep a doubleheader from the Dodgers at the beginning of this month. That was game 1 of the doubleheader and the first walk-off home run in the career of Yangervis Solarte. I believe he had a walk-off walk last year, which to me is maybe better than a walk-off home run, but I'm quirky like that. And he leads off against Matt Cain in the top of the second.
And it's better because
it's just weirder. That's it. I mean, it's not a walk-off, for goodness sakes.
Yeah, but you don't get the splash of water in your face like you got on the home run.
That's fair. It's a much less celebratory thing. But I don't know. There's something about the walk-off walk. The plate discipline. You got to appreciate that as a hitter, Sweeney.
We've heard Andy Green talk about that all year long, guys.
Solarte bouncing around defensively, particularly late in the year here at shortstop this afternoon, so Villanueva can get a day at third base. And now ground ball to first base as Pablo Sandoval takes care of out number 1 in the second inning, and Matt Cain 4 up, 4 down. And go back to 1958 when the Giants came west, and Matt Cain, the second most starts for the Giants ever in that time, 3rd most strikeouts. And as we've been talking about, guys, I mean, he was here at the exact right time, and he was a big part of all those great times.
No question about it. And he's part of those championship seasons as well. He actually pitched in the postseason in 10 and 12, did not make the postseason roster in 14, but was still a part of that rotation during the season. And the thing that I look at also is the impact that he had on the younger pitchers and in that clubhouse. And to honor him today, they had video of him pitching before the game. Now, Sweens, you normally have the video of the other team pitching. It was all Matt Cain throughout the clubhouse of the Giants today. I thought it was a pretty nice little tribute.
Yeah, that is a pretty good tribute. And obviously, Matt Cain's meant a lot. And being around him, being in this organization, know what this pitching means to their success in those 3 world championships. I think Matt Cain, and I don't think people realize this, he was actually better for a time frame than Tim Lincecum, who got the Cy Young Awards. You look at his body of work, it's all about that fastball. And when he lost his fastball velocity, at times it made it very difficult. But Matt Cain's had a very good career.
Strikes out Villanueva, got Myers to end the first, his second strikeout. And now 5 up, 5 down. This thing's pretty filthy.
Yeah, and you think about the fastball velocity. When you don't have that, you got to have the ability to move it, and that's a perfect pitch on the outside corner.
But that's a credit to him as well, Sweens, because he was more of a 4-seam fastball, curveball traditional guy. Threw a lot of fastballs up in the zone up until he started having the arm problems. That's something that he's actually had to create on his own these last few years to be able to survive.
Corey Spangenberg takes ball 1. Couple of hits last night and a walk, as the Padres were mostly held in check by Chris Stratton and the Giant bullpen.
Sweens, you mentioned Tim Lincecum. Obviously, he was a big name here, as is Madison Bumgarner. Maybe Matt Cain a little bit underappreciated for what he contributed throughout the course of the season?
Yeah, I do think so. And if you have to be a fan of the Giants to know the body of work of what Matt Cain was doing. It wasn't necessarily flash, but everyone that's been in that uniform and was a teammate of his, he had no-hit stuff when he ended up on that mound. Bruce Bochy understood it when he came from San Diego here, because that was the prime of Matt Cain's career.
Yeah, you think about how long Matt Cain has been around. When he got up, Felipe Alou was his manager. Barry Bonds was still on the team. They drafted Tim Lincecum after he made his major league debut. Been a while.
Known as the workhorse. Sometimes the workhorses don't get all the accolades, but are actually a guy that carry your ball club. They're the glue.
2-2 to Spangenberg, and a fly ball left field. Jared Parker in the sun makes the catch. 2 perfect innings for Matt Cain to start things off here this afternoon.
second. And listen, Carissa Thompson, Tony Gonzalez, Dave Wanstead, Colin Cowherd, and Michael Vick have all the latest breaking news and updates you need to start your football Sunday. Fox NFL kickoff tomorrow at 8 a.m. Pacific.
Bottom of the second inning, Pablo Sandoval to lead off against Jhoulys Chacín, 2 for 4 with an RBI double and a single last night. Sandoval swinging as good of a bat right now as he has at any other point in his second Giant tenure, having driven in 14 runs in his last 16 games. And we talked about Matt Cain having nothing to lose out on the mound today and pitching with no pressure. It's probably how the Giants front office feels with Sandoval. Ain't nothing to lose at this point. Red Sox are paying him, and if he contributes, great, and if not, you figure it out and move on.
I think, to your point, Red Sox paying him, it makes it an easier decision because I think he's a fan favorite here. I think the biggest mistake is Pablo going somewhere else where he was loved here. You know, a World Series hero, because that's when he impacted the most in a Giants uniform in the playoffs.
Could have been a situation where feelings got hurt early on in that negotiating process, and even though he felt like he was disrespected by the Giants with some of their initial offers, I don't think there's any question the Giants wanted him back. But it got to a point, Sweens, where he just felt like, no, I'm not going to sign back there no matter what it felt like. And I agree, big career mistake.
Margot trying to track that one down in the gap. He won't get there. Another hit for Sandoval. Leadoff single here in the bottom of the second inning. Yeah, he was the World Series of that 2012 MVP, or the MVP of that 2012 World Series. And he can hit the ball pretty much wherever you throw it at him, it seems like.
Yeah, and you know what? It's line to line, too. An aggressive approach, but he's seeing the ball well. Those numbers are continuing to escalate. And he's driving the ball to all fields. You see it left center, dumping it right in front of Manny Margot.
I'm still surprised at how many fastballs he sees letter high. If you're going to elevate on him, you've got to get it up around the shoulders or the chin if you have any chance of trying to get it by him. Letter's not high enough to Pablo Sandoval.
Jared Parker to pair the 17 Giant hits in their win last night, and he takes that slider for a called strike from Chacín, 0-1.
I remember last night Jared Parker had the 2 hits in the ball game. Both were to left field, so I think that breaking ball is going to come into play a little bit more today.
Parker takes another slider. It misses. 1 ball and 1 strike. Struck out in his first 2 at-bats yesterday, and then, as Sweeney said, opposite field single in the 5th. Double to left center in the 7th.
You know, we talked about moves that the Giants may look at making during the offseason. I'm curious to see what they do about left field, Sweens, because Jared Parker was supposed to take that job coming out of spring training. Didn't happen. He had some injury issues as well, but can Denard Span still cover center field defensively the way they need him to? Do they maybe slide him over to left?
The defensive metrics that do not favor Denard Span in center field, so that might be a move. I think they go big because they need some home run production in this lineup. I think one of the guys that are going to be on their radar is the JD Martinez situation that's happened in Arizona. Arizona, you wonder if they have the money to lock him up. If they don't, there's going to be a lot of suitors, especially what he has done in the second half.
I don't think there's any question that they've got to address the power situation. And the Giants obviously can put some of that on the ballpark, but you look around and that 20 home run barrier seems to be a pretty stiff brick wall for this team right now, and it's very hard to win in the major leagues in 2017 when you're not hitting home runs. And I mean, not even close to the next lowest team in all of baseball when it comes to home run production.
Yeah, and you know what? Bruce Bochy loves the home run, and what manager wouldn't? Change a game, gives your pitching an opportunity to go out there and pitch differently when you have a lead.
After the Sandoval single, a walk to Jared Parker, 2 on, nobody out. Number 8 hitter Ryder Jones coming up.
You know, it's so interesting to me when we talk about the home run numbers for the Giants. They've actually hit the same number of home runs the last 4 seasons. They've been anywhere from 132 to 136 home runs. The difference is 4 years ago that ranked 7th in the National League. They're basically doing the same thing they've always done. The rest of baseball is running away from them.
Yeah, Bob, if you look at the middle of the lineup, Span, Posey, and Crawford, 43 RBIs, 67 RBIs, and 76 for Crawford. That's not enough. You need a 100 RBI guy, but also that home run production. But if you don't get the home runs, You have to drive the runs in, so maybe have 2 guys in your lineup to drive in 100.
Crawford at the moment, because Belt is injured, is their leading home run guy. I mean, he's got 14. Hard to survive in today's day and age with that sort of power number. And you talk about JD Martinez and the possibility of free agency. And I mean, a couple months ago, you heard Giancarlo Stanton's name kicked about with a possible trade here. If you're a free agent home run hitter, though, are you intimidated by AT&T Park? Or maybe not intimidated, but are you thinking to yourself, I don't know if that's necessarily where I want to take my talent?
That could come into the thought process, but for a right-handed power hitter, this favors that guy. You don't want to be that left-handed guy.
That could work out perfectly for Ryder Jones, and it does. No chance for Villanueva at third base. On a broken bat roller up the third base line, the Giants will load the bases with nobody out, and Matt Cain is coming to bat.
Couldn't script this any better, could you? Matt Cain with an opportunity to help himself.
In his career, Matt Cain, a 122 hitter, 7 major league homers, 34 career runs batted in, 5 for 30 this season. 0-2.
He was looking to slap it out of the way right there, wasn't he, Swings?
Step in the bucket and let it rip.
Got it. Bases loaded and 1 away. Your breakout MLB season is on Nintendo Switch. RBI Baseball 2017 is filled with fast-paced pick-up-and-play MLB action, packed with all your favorite MLB teams, players, ballparks, and much more. Get RBI Baseball today for Nintendo Switch. Learn more at rbigame.com. That's exactly what Jhoulys Chacín needed to do right there. 3 pitches, no messing around, and get that first out. Now Hunter Pence.
We got to be careful of that get me over breaking ball here. That's what Hunter Pence loves in RBI situations. See that 2-strike slider right there. I don't mind that pitch, but that get me over slider, Hunter Pence absolutely loves that pitch.
Bases loaded, 1 away. Pence grounded to first his first time. That's a grounder to third. Villanueva goes to second. That's 1. The turn, not in time. It was close. For the moment, 1-0 Giants, and the inning continues.
With the naked eye, I thought that was closer than first base umpire Ben May called it. See Hunter Pence right off the bat, he knew this was going to be a possible double play. Double clutch by Villanueva. That might have been the difference maker. We saw the yard sale at first.
Yeah, he's going hard. I mean, he knows that he's trying to get some runs from Matt Cain. He's going as hard as he can, reaches out at the last second. And we've seen a couple of guys recently that have injured themselves slipping on first bases. Seems to be okay.
Chris Taylor did it the other night at Dodger Stadium. So the run comes in. There will be no challenge. 1-0 Giants. First and third, 2 out now for Joe Panik. Grounded to second his first time after the 4-hit game yesterday, and Chacín falls behind 1-0.
I know Hunter Pence plays hard all the time, but I couldn't help but thinking what you were talking about earlier, Sweens, of all of these players behind Matt Cain today, wanting to give him something special to leave baseball with.
Yeah. Just the inspiration and obviously the admiration of what they have for Matt Cain. You step your game up even more.
2 balls and no strikes.
Hey guys, I was thinking about that discussion we were just having a moment ago about right-handed power hitters. I don't think this park plays poorly for the right-handed power like you were saying, Mark. And as well, this entire division, Coors Field.
Arizona's ballpark, Petco. I think they all play very friendly to right-handed power.
I agree.
I wouldn't be intimidated to come over here, I guess is the point.
There is a reputation, I think, and you got to get past that, I would imagine. But I'm with you. I mean, we've seen plenty get shot out to left field here by those right-handed power hitters.
Well, you want the right guy too, and if you think about this organization and what they have done with 3 world championships, I'll take that over a potential of maybe missing 3, 4, 5 home runs. I want an opportunity to win a championship, and this organization knows they have to bounce back. It's an aging roster, but you can add to that in the history of what the San Francisco Giants bring.
Another name that's been kicked about is the impending free agent from Kansas City, Mike Moustakas. He's a left-handed bat. But they need homers. I don't think there's any mystery surrounding that part of it. And see how they address that in the offseason.
You know, Swins, I love your point about wanting to come to a winner because this organization has a history for it. This clubhouse has been notorious for having a great environment, great culture, a bunch of winners. That was one of the things that Nick Hundley was saying the other day. He says, you know what, we haven't won many games, but I know that this is a clubhouse filled with winners. That's the kind of thing that major league players want to be around.
Yeah, and I think it's expectation that you are trying to sell to a pending free agent. You also know how important it is to go out there and say, hey, Bruce Bochy, Hall of Fame manager, not a bad guy to perform for, but also they have to get back on track. And it's going to take just more than one piece. It's going to take a few.
But this is a front office that has a reputation for going out and getting those pieces when they need them. And guys want to see that as well.
Pence will go from first. Parker's at third. The payoff is just outside to Panic. Ball 4. And now for the second time this inning, the bases are loaded. Denard Span coming up, and Andy Green watching as Jhoulys Chacín struggles a bit on the road, and that's been a thing we've discussed plenty this year. The splits at Petco and on the road very different, and that 1.79 home ERA, best in all of baseball in 2017.
Well, if you think about it, Jesse, too, yes, he has struggled at times on the road. I think he's pitched much better in the second half. But he's a 4-1 record here at AT&T Park. 2.09 ERA, but also 3-1 this year here at AT&T.
Yeah, I agree. The home road thing, I think, was probably a bigger storyline earlier in the season, but certainly something you're always aware of when he's on the mound, and that's strike 1 to Denard Span.
I don't think there's any denying that he pitched great at home. He was comfortable there, no question about it. But when you look at some of those early starts on the road, 9 earned runs to start your season at Dodger Stadium, that's going to put a dent in your road ERA for a long time. I think he's, like you guys have said, pitched much better here the second half on foreign soil.
Last 19 starts overall, the ERA just over 3. Here's the 0-1 to Span, and now 0-2 on the Giants center fielder.
Well, we saw how much of a pest Denard Span is last night. You see that early set with that front foot and a short swing, so it makes it very difficult for that put-away pitch. So for Chacín, he needs to ask for his best slider of the day.
Parker, Pence, and Panic, the base runners.
Did you ever get a chance to work with Jaramillo, the hitting coach
I had
out
not.
of Texas?
I've heard all about him.
I know one of the things that he really preaches is getting that front foot down in a hurry like we're seeing out of Span.
Yeah, Merv Retman was also a guy that the Padres had for a hitting coach. He loved that as well. What it does is basically set your head and your vision. So Denard Span, you know, as a leadoff hitter, he stays in the strike zone. You know, a lot of hitters, they'll move their heads, a lot of head movement because they want to hit on the move and try to generate a little more power. Well, that's not part of Denard Span's game. Home run for him is a perfect pitch mistake with a perfect swing.
The 0-2 to Span is outside. This is not the sharpest we have seen Jhoulys Chacín this year. The pitch count now up over 45 in the second inning, and he's had to work here in the second. Already walked a couple. Giants have taken a 1-0 lead, and now trying to end it right there. 1-2, reached for it and just poked out to left field. Spangenberg running out of room, makes the play. Nicely done by Corey Spangenberg. up against that wall in foul territory. The Giants get one, but leave the bases loaded.
And it's driven a long way to deep left field. Hunter Renfroe, it's out of here. Up on top of the Western Metal Supply Company building again.
The roof is on fire.
Oh, Mark Cran's not the best in the business for nothing. Hunter Renfroe, all kinds of power. He went up there last year in September. And then again this season, another fun moment in 2017. He leads off against Matt Cain, who has gone 6 up, 6 down, now pitching with a lead for the first time after the RBI fielder's choice by Hunter Pence in the bottom of the 2nd inning. 25 home runs for Renfroe is the Padre rookie record. Beautiful day at AT&T Park. I'm Jesse Agler. Mark Sweeney is here. Bob Scanlon is here. Mark Grant will join us in the 4th inning. Tony Gwynn Jr. will join us in the 7th.
As fun as it is to see that replay, if you have not had a chance to actually go up where Hunter hit that ball, do yourself a favor.
Yeah.
Next time you go to Petco, go up to the top of the roof, and you'll really get an appreciation of how far that ball traveled.
He's a strong man.
On 2 balls and a strike. Posey sets up outside, and that one's hammered up the middle for a base hit. And the Padres have their first base runner here in the top half of the 3rd inning. I imagine as soon as Matt Cain threw a 1-2-3 first inning, there were at least a group of people here at AT&T Park who started thinking to themselves, well, you know, he did throw a perfect game, but not this afternoon.
That was a different Matt Cain.
Very much so.
Well, what a year that was for him in 2012, huh? Perfect game, World Series ring on top of it. And that's really what locked in that $120 million contract that he got as well.
Started the All-Star game too. Strike 1 to Hedges. Outer reaches of the strike zone.
Well, guys, you think about the career and what he has done, and he's done it with a staple. Obviously, Buster Posey had a lot of impact on his career. Both of those, the battery, have worked together 119 times. And for Buster Posey to go out there and trust what Matt Cain does, but have that comfort level to go out there and execute pitches, that's a good combo.
Got the call on strike 1. And on 0-2, Hedges just kind of spoils that breaking ball.
And sometimes you get another opportunity because of that awkward swing. It's not that feeling that you want to have because it's not executed, but fouling that off, giving yourself another opportunity.
I always viewed it from the other side as well. Mark, where I hung a bad breaking ball like that and the guy fouls it off. I'm thinking to myself, man, I got away with one. Now I get another opportunity to maybe throw a better pitch. That's one of those pitches where nobody's happy.
Yeah, and that's the reason why you think this is such a mental game. You know, what the pitcher's thinking and what the hitter is also thinking. I just took the worst swing of the at bat, but I'm still having an opportunity.
We're both looking at each other like, I just threw my worst pitch of the game. You didn't barrel it up. We both have to do better, don't we?
Sure do.
Ball and 2 strikes now to Hedges. Cain has lost 10 consecutive decisions, and for all the storybook ending talk, you know, it is, I think, relevant certainly to talk about his struggles this year. 3-11 with a 5.66 ERA, hasn't pitched in about a month, and just kind of come to the finish line here this afternoon. 2 balls and 2 strikes now to Hedges.
Well, that'll get you to think about retirement, going through those struggles, which I think everyone goes through at the tail end of your career when you have 13 years in the big leagues. I think the influences of his wife Chelsea, but also 2 beautiful daughters to go home to. You always hear about guys wanting to spend more time with their family.
Hedges pops it up. Buster Posey, as routine as it gets. One away. Renfroe at first. Chacin coming up, and we alluded to the perfect game against Houston back in 2012. A couple plays certainly that stand out from this one. That's at the top of the list. Gregor Blanco going back, making the diving catch. 14 strikeouts in the perfect game, tied for the most ever in a perfect game with Sandy Koufax, his perfect game back in 1965. It is still the one and only in Giants history, New York or San Francisco.
You know, watching that video, what stands out to me is the 4-seam fastballs up in the zone that we saw from him. And that's really how I'm always going to remember Matt Cain, with that overpowering fastball at the top part of the zone. Young buck, 20 years old, coming up to the big leagues. Just going right after guys.
Chacin trying to keep them off balance in terms of what his intentions may have been, but he takes a ball. Jolice, of course, has handled the bat very nicely this year. Only a couple of guys in the National League among pitchers have more hits than he does this season, and 6 sacrifice bunts as well. Either or right now. Renfroe at first base, 1 away, and he takes the curve for a strike. 1-1.
Sweens, you would know this, and I was always impressed with his stoicism when he was the tough luck loser or the tough luck no decision guy after pitching 8 innings, allowing only 2 runs, and it actually became known as getting caned because it happened to him so often. Being around him didn't seem to faze him at all.
No, he wanted the ball, and you know what? You play a lot of 1-run games here.
Good bunt by Chacin. Posey makes the play. 2 outs and a runner in scoring position for Manuel Margot, which leads us to our tools of the trade, brought to you by Ram Trucks. You go back to the home opener at Petco Park. Margot at the plate against Matt Cain.
Well, I think we're going to get used to seeing a lot of special moments from Manuel Margot. Obviously, the home opener had a lot to do with his kickstart. And yes, the home run power is not necessarily a big part of his game, but we saw it on display the first series of the season and against Matt Cain. A lot of special moments we're going to see from Margot.
See what Manuel can do here with 2 outs and a runner in scoring position. First thing he does is look at a curveball strike, 0-1.
We talked about his maturity as a young player yesterday, Sweens, and I'm curious, the 2 home runs to start the season, I think could have been very distracting to a lot of young players in terms of thinking, oh, maybe I am a home run hitter. It didn't seem to faze him at all. It didn't get him out of who he is.
No, I think he's day to day, and I think that's a great trait that he has, because I think he looks at himself as, I got to improve every single day. And you're seeing some of the flashes. And that being said, you have to temper your expectations. If you're Andy Green, Mark McGwire, they know the type of talent they have, but it hasn't been all untapped yet. And Manny Margot understands that more importantly. I think he tries to get better every single day.
Chops that one into the ground, but foul.
Now, part of that, guys, is making aggressive mistakes, aggressive swings, also trying to embrace being a leadoff hitter in the big leagues, which is very difficult. Do I take pitches here? Do I swing at the first pitch of the game? Manny Margot doesn't care what situation he's in. He just wants to get better and better.
Renfroe led the inning off with a single. He's at second base. And the battle will continue here between Matt Cain and Manuel Margot.
You know, the challenge, and I think a lot of fans might say, well, doesn't everyone want to be that way? I think a lot of people are very comfortable with what the numbers they've put up in the minor leagues, and they expect it just to translate to the big leagues. I think Manny Margot understands, listen, I'm young, I'm hungry, and I want to get better. I want to be the best player in this league.
Swings to that point. I think that's one of the biggest downfalls of a lot of big league players as they get to that point. If they just want to be comfortable and survive. Hey, what I've done has been good enough to get me here. Yeah. But that willingness to push yourself out of your comfort zone, especially here at the major league level where you've got a lot at stake, I don't think every guy has that, and really kept a lot of guys from becoming the players they can be.
Yeah, I think you have to have the drive. You have to have the responsibility to your teammates, to your organization. And Manny Margot came from the Boston Red Sox and said, listen, here's my opportunity. I might have been, hey, had Mookie Betts ahead of me, maybe Benintendi that it was in front of me. Now I have a new lease on life, and my career path is with the San Diego Padres. This is where it starts. I think he embraces that. That's the reason why I think a lot of people in the organization love the direction Manny Margot is going.
Cain's pitch count now at 45. And it'll go at least one more higher here in the third inning. Margot's battling. Padres had their first base runner in this inning, a lead single by Hunter Renfroe. And you do have bullpen action for San Francisco. That's Derek Law.
Swings, to your question earlier, if he finishes an inning but is not going to go back out, will Boch send him out to at least warm up and be able to get those applause?
I think he will. I think that'd be a perfect scenario.
Ground ball to shortstop. The Gold Glover Crawford handles it. 3 shutout innings for Matt Cain against the Padres here in San Francisco.
Possesses everything necessary to be the best defensive first baseman in the game. How much does he want it, and how hard is he going to focus on it? I think those are the 2 real questions, and those are the questions that we put to him, and he has to answer for himself. And I think right now, like, he's waking up to you don't just roll out of bed and play defense or do anything at the big league level. You have to work at it, and I think he's picked that message up this year. And if he works on that message in the offseason, I think he'll be very successful at first base next year.
That's Andy Green yesterday asked about Will Myers' defense at first base. And of course, last year, his first year at first base, he was stellar defensively. This year, he's taking a step back as Posey sends one in the air to Manuel Margot. 1 pitch, 1 out for Chacín here in the bottom of the third inning. And Mark Sweeney, I thought that was pretty direct, from Andy Green, in a public setting, saying, hey, here's what we're looking for. defensively.
We've heard Andy Green be very upfront about Will Myers and the dedication that you put in. He said a couple things and pretty interesting. He's got to want it, but also has to have the focus. And I think that is where Will Myers has to be and has to commit to be that player, to take that next step. And defensively, we've seen him with good hands, but at times his feet don't work. And why I say that is that if the feet aren't working, you have good hands and you're relying on your hands all the time. Every infield instructor is going to say soft hands come with good feet. And that's what Will Myers has to work on. I know they have worked on stuff, but it's a commitment to every individual player what direction you want to go. And for Will Myers, that's the decision he's going to have to make.
Brandon Crawford with 1 out and the base is empty. I think it's one of those old baseball things, and the joke or whatever is, hey, anybody can play first base, but there really is so much that goes into it defensively. I know you went through that firsthand.
With all of that being said, listen, I tried to get good footwork over there at first base. I was not a good first baseman, and I had to rely on making the regular normal play. It is very difficult position, and it's very athletic these days. Brandon Belt here in San Francisco, very good first baseman. You see Adrian Gonzalez in this division. It's a very good first base. Paul Goldschmidt, very good. So you have to commit that, and it is a very difficult position. It's not about hitting home runs and driving runs in and just putting a guy over there. You're going to have to help out the infielders and continue to get better, and he has that ability.
Crawford goes down and rolls over on that one. Asuahi's got to hurry in with the glove flip. He gets him 2 away.
Well, one thing about Will Myers, he has always been very transparent and honest about what he knows he needs to work on and get better at. And really, I think in some ways this might be the first time that he's gotten challenged at a single position. As we see the replay right here, nice job by Carlos Asuahi on the charge. The old glove flip, not as easy as it looks, is it, Sweens?
No, it's not easy. And the in-between was a decision that Will Myers had to make. If he vacates that position, puts a lot of pressure on Chacin to go over there and cover. He's there. But a nice play by Asuahi, as you said, Bob.
Sandoval, check swing roller. Should be a very quick 1-2-3 inning for Chacin, and it is. Bob Scanlon, thank you very much.
Thanks for inviting me indoors for a game, guys. I enjoyed it.
Mark Grant next. San Diego presents Padres baseball, brought to you by Petco, where the pets go. AT&T Park here in San Francisco, about as scenic a setting as there is for Major League Baseball or any sport in this country. Matt Cain making his 331st Major League start, also his final, and we'll see how much longer he goes in this game. Giants have a 1-0 lead as we open the 4th, and as we welcome Mark Grant into the booth here. Hello, Mudcat.
Guys, welcome. What a beautiful day for baseball, huh?
No, welcome to you.
Well, welcome to you as well.
Welcome to everybody.
It's always a pleasure.
Welcome.
Thanks, Mark. Jesse, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you. Good to see you.
Bienvenue.
Ah.
Hey, kind of an emotional day, huh, guys? For Matt Cain?
I would think so.
It's a Hallmark day.
That's why ground ball to second base. Cain's got to cover. He does. That's a lot of years of PFP coming through right there. And that's why he grounds out for the first out here in the 4th inning. Matt Cain's been around forever. I mean, we've talked about it, and he's not that old in terms of his actual age, but he made his debut at such a young age. He was like 20 years and 332 days when he made his major league debut. The youngest Giant to make his big league debut since Mark Grant.
That's right.
Did it as a 20-year-old back in 1984. How about that?
And Matt Cain has had one heck of a career. I've said all along, guys, you win 100 games. I don't care if you're 100 and 198. You win 100 games at the big league level. That is a great, I think it's not great because great is Hall of Fame. That is a very, very good career.
Definitely. And he deserves the praise of what he has done. Sometimes it's not necessarily, we always talk about the ace or the #1 starter. And you could say Matt Cain was borderline #1. But Matt Cain is the stabilizer I think that you need in a rotation. And that's the reason why I think his career is one of those, as you say, 100 wins in a major leagues.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive.
Slow roller again. This time Crawford, bare hand. Not in time. Sandoval may have dropped the ball. Well, that's how he blew out his groin a few years ago, making a stretch just like that at first base.
I was going to say that was one heck of a stretch by the Panda.
Well, what a play by Brandon Crawford. You can see the guys just have another level today behind Matt Cain. And that's a ball that you have to pick, and ice cream cone ends up dropping the ice cream.
That's something I won't do. I'll never drop an ice cream. You know what? Another nugget that Dwayne Kuiper told me before the game, of course, Dwayne Kuiper, the TV and radio voice for the Gigantes. Matt Cain in his career, 80, count them, 80 quality start losses.
It's kind of his career in a nutshell in a lot of ways. Solarte pops out to Crawford. 2 outs with Myers at first base. Christian Villanueva coming up.
Well, we touched on that when Bob was here, Mud, and you think about, I was up here with Bruce Bochy coming up. A lot of one-run games here. You have to win those games or it's in the balance. But Matt Cain was the guy that Bruce Bochy come out and say, how you feel? He goes, I'll stay in.
Yeah.
I want the ball. I want to be able to stay in. And sometimes those turn into one-run losses. And unfortunately for Matt Cain, that record suffered, but it didn't suffer his reputation in the locker room.
Villanueva punched out by Cain back in the 2nd inning. Had a pinch hit double last night. Stayed in to play third base after that. Gets the start at third base here this afternoon. 53 pitches now for Matt Cain in what could be his final major league inning.
A lot of 18 jerseys being worn today. 2 strikes. Everybody's up cheering. They want to strike out for Matt Cain. It's kind of neat to witness that.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a scenario too. You start seeing hovering that pitch count that they'd like to keep him under. Corey Spangenberg up next. They have a lefty up there. It's just one of those scenarios I thought, and I said to this, Mark, earlier, there's a lot of pressure on Bruce Bochy today, the manager. When to take Matt Cain out, because obviously this crowd is getting behind Matt Cain and would like to give him that ovation again back.
Ball and 2 strikes to Villanueva, and now 2-2. I liked what Bob said earlier, which is that so few guys have the opportunity to make this decision on their own. Go out there and say, this is it for me. It doesn't happen.
Call your shot, your own shot. That's the way to go. And I don't know Matt Cain, but I'll tell you, he's probably feels so blessed and lucky to be able to do that. He doesn't take it for granted to be able to call it this way. It's perfect.
Now 2 balls and 2 strikes to Villanueva. Padres down a run. And 4 shutout innings for Matt Cain. Padres with a pair of singles. And the Giants a 1-0 lead as we go to the bottom of the 4th. You know they're handsome by default, though, Mike. Yeah. Thank you both very much. A couple good heads of hair back there. Mike Pomeroy and Steve Finley. Here, not quite so much.
No.
Jared Parker into the shift. A little bit of a tricky hop for Suaje, but he makes the play. And after Chassin needed just 6 pitches to get 3 outs in the 3rd, he gets a quick out here in the bottom of the 4th, 1 away. And the number 8 hitter, Ryder Jones, coming up. It is set in the American League, so the Red Sox clinch. I'll ask you the same question Mike just asked Steve Finley. Do you like Cleveland to win the pennant for a 2nd consecutive year?
I do like Cleveland because they're so strong, and they're actually stronger in the bullpen than they were last year. That's scary, and I think they're a better team to be representing the American League. That being said, watch out for the Yankees in the American League. National League, I think it's going to get interesting. Cubs really have the least pressure of the 3 division winners because they won the World Championship last year.
That's a good point.
The Dodgers haven't been to the World Series since 1988, and you look at the Washington Nationals, they haven't won a series. So there's a lot of pressure on those 2 teams.
Can you guys believe that, you know, the Red Sox, they clinched the East? It's the only time in franchise history they've gone back-to-back winning the East. That's hard to believe.
It is. And we touched on a little bit last night. David Price is going to be that X factor. He's going to be in the bullpen.
2nd strikeout for Chassin. 2 down in the 4th. Matt Cain's going to get another chance to hit here. Struck out on 3 pitches with the bases loaded in the 2nd. He goes after the fastball there, 0-1.
Well, slowly you're seeing Jhoulys Chassin get back into this ball game, get into a nice groove. This next pitch will be his 60th, but this could possibly be back-to-back innings where he goes down 1, 2, 3 in order.
It is another quick inning, and he strikes out Cain for the 2nd time this afternoon. We'll go to the 5th. 1-0 San Francisco. RBI fielder's choice back in the 2nd inning. Giants had the bases loaded, nobody out in the 2nd. They got just the 1 run, and 1-0 as Matt Cain warms up to start the 5th inning. And we've talked all afternoon, hey, it's his last big league start, and the pressure on Bruce Bochy to handle his exit the right way and the best way. Oh, by the way, he's lost 10 consecutive decisions. They're up 1-0, and he needs 3 outs to qualify for a win. Can they get him through the 5th? That, I guess, becomes the question in that Giant dugout.
I think a perfect script would be just that. Let him complete a quick 5th. They've got the lead. If they tack on, that's just a bonus. And then the next inning, have him go out there, take the ball from him, and receive a great ovation from the Giant faithful.
Well,
Mark, what do you think?
As you said, Jesse, earlier, 29 days since the last time he pitched. So it's all on adrenaline for Matt Cain right now. After this, he can rest his arm as long as he wants.
Yeah.
29 days rest won't seem like anything compared to what he's got coming. Spangenberg, Renfroe, Hedges 6, 7, and 8 against Bochy's boys here in the 5th. And Corey, who flew out his first time to the opposite field, takes ball 1.
Anytime Bruce Bochy is gnawing on a piece of gum, he's nervous. I've seen a lot of that. Watched him in the dugout. There's times where he gets frustrated. There he is.
Yeah. Come on, Matt. You get through this inning here, and then we'll make things happen for you next half inning. How many bitches you got now, Rag?
Even 60. They got Derek Law warming up in the bullpen, and a 4-pitch walk to Spangenberg, the first free pass he has issued here this afternoon. Leadoff man aboard. Here comes the manager. What do you got to lose?
That's great theater, isn't it?
Well, he got the answer he wanted.
You mentioned it earlier, Mark, right? Going out to many times Bruce Bochy, you say, how do you feel? He's not going to get the ball out of his hand.
Not.
Renfroe singled up the middle. One of 2 Padre hits. It was a 4-pitch walk to Spangenberg, and now ball 1 to Renfroe.
Well, Hunter Renfroe's got one thought in his mind right here. Fastball. And that wasn't the location Matt Cain wanted. Wanted that ball in, and it leaked over the middle of the plate.
Now the 1-1. And another ball issued by Matt Cain. Continuing to have command issues here in the top of the 5th.
He's trying to leave it all out there on that hill for one last time.
Straightaway center field and deep. Denard Span going back, running out of room, but has enough. Out number 1 in the 5th inning. Now the number 8 hitter, Austin Hedges.
Well, during the day, the ball tends to fly just a little bit more. Just underneath this ball was Hunter Renfroe. Thought it had an opportunity because of during the day. Denard Span a stride before that wall.
Yeah, that wind has kicked up a little bit too, blowing straight out. As the game started, the wind was blowing straight down.
Hedges 0 for 1. He fouled out to Posey back in the 3rd inning. Curveball strike, 0-1. Matt Cain trying to get himself through 5 innings, trying to qualify for a win. Another curve and another strike.
Well, that command of the fastball has been straying a little bit, but that breaking ball is what he's going to rely on.
He has lost 10 straight decisions. His last win was May 15th against the Dodgers. The 0-2 to Hedges and a foul ball. Matt Cain, drafted 25th overall back in 2002. Made his big league debut as a 20-year-old in 2005. Three-time All-Star, three-time World Series champion, and he threw the first and only perfect game in Giants history back in 2012. Got him.
Well, it looked to me that Austin held up here. Let's take a look. Just a little bit too far.
He issued a lead walk to Corey Spangenberg here in the 5th inning. Renfroe sent one nearly to the wall in center. Struck out Hedges, and now Chacin. Jolise takes strike one.
Well, we've seen the curveball and also the tight slider.
Curveball, foul ball. Strike two.
Trying to bring that two-seamer back. A good call by Ted Barrett.
On 1 and 2 to Chacin, a ground ball to Crawford. 5 shutout innings for Matt Cain. He departs with a 1-0 Giant lead. innings here at AT&T Park in San Francisco. 5 shutout innings. Hunter Renfroe, a ground ball single up the middle. Will Myers, an infield single, a walk. Those are the only blemishes on his afternoon. Departs with a 1-0 lead. Got a huge ovation from the crowd in between innings. Padres applauded from the top step of their dugout, and now handshakes and hugs all up and down the third base dugout here in San Francisco. 331 major league starts. Parts of 13 major league seasons for Matt Cain, all of them coming in a Giants uniform. Top of the order against Chacin here in the 5th. He has had 2 really good back-to-back innings. Needed just 6 pitches in a 1-2-3 third, 8 pitches in a 1-2-3 fourth, and now strike 1 to Hunter Pence. We've seen this a few times from Jolis this year, where it takes a few innings and then all of a sudden it's the 6th inning and he's really settled in.
Well, hopefully it's another quick one, because when you flip the scorecard, it's going to be the top of the order for San Diego, Margot, Asuaje, and Myers in their half of the 6th. So hopefully they can get on the board next half inning, keep the Giants at 1 right here.
Yeah, and you know what, from the other perspective, because we've given enough to Matt Cain in his career, but from the other side, it's emotional as well. You understand what you're going against, and especially being that road team. But now it's time to turn the page, and yes, you give your admiration to Matt Cain in his career, but now it's about winning a ball game.
Absolutely.
Ball and 2 strikes, and strike 3 to Hunter Pence. 4th strikeout for Chacin this afternoon, 3 in a row.
And he's got the feel for that slider. He showed it right there. It's worth another look. Watch the glove of Hedges. Perfect. Boy, Pence has been bailing big time today, has he not?
Yes, he has.
Panic. 0 for 1 with a ground out and a walk, and Asuaje lays out, comes up with that one, and 2 away for Chacin in the bottom of the 5th. Rangy.
I like it.
Well, when you get those quick outs, now you're starting to get into rhythm, and defensively behind him, you understand you got to make the plays as well. Outstanding play to his left. Carlos Asuaje gets up, and an accurate throw. Yeah, you know, again, going to your left and being able to accurately dive and glove that ball, get up and throw out Panic, who is frustrated.
And also, Mark, the defense knows that they want to eliminate base runners because they want to keep the Giants at 1. They don't want a 2-run shot or an extra base hit. Remember all the damage last night with 2 outs that the Giants put up there.
All of it, literally.
Yep.
All 8 runs came with 2 outs in last night's game.
Well, with that rhythm that Chacin's getting, as we see Matt Cain going on, just emotionally downloading. But Chacin and Austin Hedges have started working that chemistry, and you see how they're going. Hedges putting the sign down, and they're going at it. They're on the same page.
Chacin had a long 1st inning, a long 2nd inning, gave up the run, but has cruised through the 3rd and the 4th, and now in the 5th, he's 1 strike away from another 1-2-3 frame. Span is singled and fouled out to Spangenberg in left field. On 1 and 2, he lays off, and the count evens up. Jolie's making his 32nd start of the season. That ties his career high. He's out there searching for his 14th win of the year. That would tie a career high. And 6 starts against the Giants this year. Not a lot of secrets left between these two.
It'd be nice to finish the year at 14 wins, huh?
It's a good number. Chacín continuing to pitch well here in San Francisco. 7 previous starts at AT&T and an ERA just over 2 for Chacín. Payoff pitch to Span and a ground ball foul.
Yeah, you saw the quick pitch. Seen that a couple times in this at bat. Bernard Span had the single in his first at bat, then flew out to left. I think that quick pitch just changes the rhythm. Bernard Span has been a pest last night and today.
See plenty of that tomorrow with both Johnny Cueto and Luis Perdomo. That changing tempo, those pauses on the mound, trying to mess with the timing of the hitters. Cueto does it, I would imagine, as much as anybody in baseball right now.
And I think he is really introduced to baseball. Obviously, you go back way back to Luis Tiant, who ended up doing that. But I think it's very difficult. Mark, you could speak to that. As a pitcher, it's very difficult to get that arm swing and the natural arm swing with the timing aspect.
Absolutely, because if you're quick on the front side, you got to be quick on the back side to get into that consistent release point. You can take your time in the big leg swing like that right there.
10 in a row sent down by Chacín, and all of a sudden he has struck out 5. Another 1-2-3 inning. Going to go to the 6th. Padres down a run. They got the top of the order coming up, and they got their starting pitcher locked in.
Big league career, and the last inning we're talking about what he threw over the course of the day. The 2-seam fastball work, and he mixed in a curveball. Solarte off balance, got a call there on the 2-seam, bringing it back. Even mixed in a changeup. We know that Matt Cain threw a lot of good curveballs. After all told, Matt Cain, congratulations all the way around on one heck of a career as a San Francisco Giant.
So from the cagey veteran to the young rookie, Reyes Moranta, just 24 years old, on to pitch for the Giants. September call-up, first time the Padres are seeing him, and Margot swings and misses, strike 1. Pitching change brought to you by El Cajon Ford.
Only his 7th game for Moranta. Boy, a quick pitch there, kind of lowered the arm angle as well. Hot arm at 95 on the fastball.
Moranta's pitched this year at both AA and AAA. And now in the big leagues. Ball and 2 strikes to Margot, who's 0 for 2. Tried to bunt his way aboard in the first inning. Nice play by Ryder Jones. And he grounded out to shortstop in the 3rd.
Tell you what, I played with a kid in Des Moines with the I Cubs back in the mid-90s. And this kid, Morata, reminds me of him. Rich Garces.
Yeah.
Remember?
I do.
Remember Richie Garces?
And it's not the slider you're talking about that reminds me.
No, it's the whole thing. Boy, what a good teammate he was. Happy-go-lucky, having fun.
At second base, Joe Panik. One away. Talk about having fun, by the way. You get to meet one of the greatest of all time, maybe the greatest of all time. That was this morning.
Yeah.
Mark Grant.
You know what? I went in. I know Mark Sweeney's very good friends with Mike Murphy, been the equipment manager for the Giants for over 50 years. He actually, when the team came west, stayed with them ever since then. And I walked into Murph's office and I saw Willie Mays, and I kind of motioned to Murph. I kind of motioned, hey, can I go in? He says, yeah, come on in. So Willie was in his office, Mr. Mays, as I addressed him, and I said, Mr. Mays, it's nice to see you. I met you back in 1984 as a rookie. He goes, when was that? I said, it's Old Scottsdale Stadium. And I met you in the clubhouse. He goes, what's your name again? I said, Mark Grant. He goes, oh, Mark, I remember you. And I was like, even if he did, I mean, how sweet was that for him to just say that? And I asked Murph and Mr. Mays if I could take a picture, and he couldn't have been nicer. A sweet guy, and just
say, hey, kid.
A pleasure to. And my God, you know, I don't get starstruck too often.
That's royalty.
But yes, being a baseball fan and meeting and getting a chance to take a picture with him, it made my day. It made my year. It was great.
That's a great picture. Get that one hung up in the house.
You know, I should. You're absolutely right. That's a good idea.
With Mark Sweeney, Mark Grant, Tony Gwynn Jr. with us for the final 3 innings. Again here this afternoon. You having fun in the radio booth, by the way?
I am. It's great. Tony Gwynn Jr., great. Bob Scanlon, love working with those guys. Love working with you guys. It's been fun. And once again, I appreciate all the guys that do radio play-by-play, TV play-by-play for that most.
Suaje strikes out, 2 down, nobody on. Here in the 6th inning. Padres couldn't get to Kane, and now Morata retires the first 2 men he sees in the 6th. Legit fastball slider combo here from this young guy. Myers is one of the 2 Padre hits, an infield single.
You know, we talked about that Willie Mays catch in the World Series off the bat of Vic Wertz. A lot of people don't realize that Larry Doby was on second base. He's running on the play because he thinks it's going to be over his head. That prevented Doby from scoring a run because he had to go back to second base and tag. And then he got to third base eventually, but that saved a run. That was a huge run. That catch that Willie Mays made in center field at the Polo Grounds.
Game 1 of the 54 series. Giants would sweep Cleveland as Will Myers sweeps that one deep down the left field line and gone. There will not be a storybook victory for Matt Cain here this afternoon. 30th for Myers. And Will becomes the first Padre to reach that number since 2012. 1-1 game here in the 6th.
Well, obviously a milestone home run for Will Myers. Said earlier, emotional for both sides with Matt Cain on the mound, but also trying to get past that for the Padres. This is how you get past it. That's a bomb. Check out the pose and the length.
Vogue. Strike the pose. 30 is a nice round number, isn't it?
I love it.
Very nice. You know what's even better?
What, my 80s reference?
No, 31.
That would be nice.
So Larte lines that out towards the left center field gap. Is he going to try for 2? No. Span gets over there and does a good job cutting it off. Padres had 2 hits in the first 5 innings. Now back-to-back hits here in the 6th. And yeah, that is a nice round number for Will Myers. 30 home runs on the year. And like we said, first Padre to get there since Headley had 31 in 2012. By the way, the Giants have not had a 30 home run guy since Bonds hit 45 in 04.
Wow, I would have lost that bet.
Talked earlier about their lack of power. I mean, it's a real thing.
Yeah, and you can blame it on the ballpark. I don't see that. I don't see it.
That's funny.
As to our point, and Bob was in here. You play a lot of division games.
Sure.
And there's a lot of really good places to hit. Then you got to go to Cincinnati and Philadelphia.
Williamsport, as you mentioned.
Williamsport. I felt like I had power in those places.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Villanueva went down looking twice against Kane. Now he faces Reyes, Moranta. Sweens, how about as a veteran hitter? I was thinking this right before Myers hit the home run. It's September. You don't really know much about these guys. You've never seen them in person. Do you just sort of take a simple approach, or what?
Yeah, it's a good question, Jesse. I think you have to. Obviously, I'm not in the minds of those hitters, but yes, you tried to, because you had to go on a scouting report that was basically numbers. He throws a percentage of certain breaking balls. He loves throwing his slider, so that'll be in the back of your mind. But yeah, you try to simplify it as much as possible. Go to that fastball approach and react, and that's what it looked like with Will Myers.
1-2 to Villanueva. Been a while since the Padres had scored a run. They were shut out last night. They were shut out Wednesday night in Los Angeles. So good that Will gets it going again here. But it's going to require at least one more. Won't come right now, though, as Villanueva strikes out for the third time this afternoon. Padres, though, do get on the board. Will Myers continues to extend the career high. His 30th home run of the season. His 6th here at AT&T Park this year. 1-1 game in the 6th. First home run of this series for either side comes off the bat of Will Myers in the top of the 6th inning, ties the game at 1. And now Buster Posey against Jhoulys Chacín. Posey, the last Giant to hit the ball out of the infield. That was all the way back in the 3rd inning. Chacín has set down 10 in a row, strikeouts and groundouts exclusively since Posey flew to center field to lead off the 3rd. Chacín has settled into a nice groove in the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th. And looking to keep that going here, but Posey will single through the left side, a leadoff single, and his 2nd hit of the day. Welcome to the deeper coverage of baseball, presented by T-Mobile. Mike Trout, a couple more last night, and one of 4 players in American League history to get to 200 career homers before their age 26 season. And the Red Sox, as mentioned earlier, clinched their 2nd consecutive Eastern Division title. They will face the Astros in the American League Division Series. That's a heavyweight bout in round 1 right there.
It sure is.
Yankees will host the Twins in the American League wild card game for the opportunity to face the defending American League champions, the Cleveland Indians. Here's Brandon Crawford, and he goes after the first pitch and fouls it out of play. So Chacin had set down 10 in a row before the Posey single. And now 1 ball and 1 strike on Crawford. Sometimes something just click for a pitcher when he gets off to that slow start and then he finds it. Is it that simple?
Jesse, that's a great question, because I've mentioned it all along. You might be struggling. You might feel good in the bullpen, not so good on the starting the game. But then there's that one pitch that may be the slider, and everything's in unison. Your leg kick, your arm swing out in front, the release, the reaction, the ball, what it does. And it's like, okay, there it is. And then there are days when you go out there, Mark, and it's like, oh my gosh, I just hope and pray that they hit the ball to somebody, right at somebody. But no, it might take one pitch, you know, one at bat where every pitch is working, and then you fall in that groove, and, you know, muscle memory takes over, and you say, okay, there it is. Almost for a hitter, the same way I would say.
Same exact way. You know, it might be a foul ball, it might be just a broken bat single that you'd let track a little bit further that sets you up in a perfect position. That's the mystery of the game of baseball. That's what makes it great.
3-1 to Crawford, and a slow breaking ball. And now a full count.
You think about an important pitch of the game. You see Chacin, 81 pitches to this point, but a 3-2 pitch to Crawford, who has power. 14 home runs on the season.
Golfs it. And Margot looking right out into the sun, comes in to make the catch. That's the first out. Sandoval coming up, and a runner on first here in the 6th.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the San Diego Padres.
It may not be reproduced, retransmitted in any form.
And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated
without the express written consent of the San Diego Padres.
Boom.
Sabah. Take
that with you.
You know, I don't know if it's actually legally binding if it's
who cares?
By
we did
multiple
it.
People. Yeah.
They can deal with it.
That was like the highlight of your season, wasn't it? Right there. That was Mark Grant's favorite moment of 2017. Here's a special one. Sandoval goes down and hits one in the air. Renfroe has not had a lot of action out in right field. He makes that catch. So a lead single by Posey. He is still there with 2 away. And Jared Parker coming up. Have a little fun, would you? It's the big leagues.
You're right. You're right about that.
You guys know my motto, right? Growing old is mandatory. Growing up is optional. That's going to be on my tombstone. And then at the bottom, it's going to say, sorry about it. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does your family know about this?
They do now.
You might want to run that one by.
Yeah.
They do now.
That might have to be discussed.
Jared Parker fouls one back.
Boy, both bullpens, man, working double time.
You know, it's funny watching these guys each and every day, as we all do. You start to kind of learn the mannerisms, and Chacin right there, rubbing up the baseball later in a game. We've seen it 1,000 times this year. It's almost his essence as Parker tries to bunt his way aboard. Element of surprise gone. Now in the hole, 0-2. Yeah, how many times this year have we seen it? You know, lick the hand, rub the ball, maybe take the hat off, puff the cheeks out.
Yeah, that tells me he's grinding.
A really nice season for Chacin. Talked about it earlier with Bob. This guy hadn't been a regular starting pitcher in a couple of years. Goes to the post 32 times this season.
Yeah, and for the year that the Padres have had up to this point, if he walks away today with 14 wins under his belt, that's saying something.
You know, to me, I think it's taking the ball. And Clayton Richard is that example, but also Chacin has to be given just as much credit, because those are the guys that you have to have that example in a pitching staff. Whether you look at it from innings, being able to keep minor league pitchers down in the minor leagues to develop more, that is an important part when you're transitioning as an organization. But those guys are pros. They go out and they do their jobs day in and day out.
Chacin and Richards signed their free agent contracts last winter on the same exact day, and they kind of filled that same exact role that you're describing all season long. Ball and 2 strikes on Jared Parker, trying to work around the lead single by Posey here in a tie game. Posey runs, but he strikes him out, and the inning is over. 6th strikeout of the day for Chacin, and he does work around the lead single by Buster Posey. On to the 7th inning in San Francisco. Chacin in a in San Francisco, and the big story of the day for the Giants, certainly Matt Cain making his final major league start. He was really good. 5 shutout innings. He allowed just 2 hits. He left with the opportunity to be the winning pitcher thanks to Hunter Pence RBI groundout in the 2nd inning. That gave the Giants a 1-0 lead. Jhoulys Chacin, though, would settle down. At one point retired 10 consecutive Giant hitters. And then Will Myers against the reliever Morata in the 6th inning, his 30th home run of the year. And that tied the game 1-1, and that is where we are as we open up the 7th inning with Corey Spangenberg at the plate and the lefty Stephen Okert on the mound. Slider misses outside. 1 ball and no strikes to Corey Spangenberg. Okert out of the bullpen for the 43rd time this year for Bruce Bochy. And you see the reverse splits. Lefty's actually a better batting average against this year than right-handed hitters. And now 2-0 to Spangenberg. Thanks to Mark Grant for joining us for those middle 3 innings. And now Tony Gwynn Jr. in the booth for the final 3 frames this afternoon.
Fellas, how you guys doing today?
We are lovely. Beautiful day for baseball. Entertaining game. And Matt Cain put on a little bit of a show today, huh?
He did. He gave these Giant fans something to remember him by. Not that he hasn't given them enough memories at this point, but it's a good way for him to go off.
Spangenberg floating that one out into shallow center field, and Span gets there to make the catch. Well, nonchalant at the end. 1 out in the top of the 7th inning.
I think Denard Span got fooled by this pitch at first. He went back, and then he had to cover a lot of ground. And going into that modified slide.
It's almost like he didn't really want to put the pressure on his knees stopping.
Yes.
So he just slid.
Like posing like for a portrait. So Okert gets the lefty, and now Bruce Bochy will make the pitching change. Hunter Renfroe coming up in a tie game here in the 7th. Park in San Francisco, and welcome back inside the booth with Mark Sweeney, Tony Gwynn Jr. I'm Jesse Agler. Matt Cain started. That was the big story. Jhoulys Chacín, and another nice start for him in his final start of the 2017 season. And this thing's still to be decided here.
I thought Chacín was very good when he got into that rhythm, as we say. But now emotionally, that's set aside, and now it's about winning a ball game, come up with some big hits.
Yeah, you saw him kind of labor through those first 2 innings, and he kind of got into that groove that we're used to seeing Chacín in, and he's been well. Now, like you said, it's about the offense kind of taking the bull by the horns and trying to find some ways to score runs.
Nice round number for Will Myers, too, number 30. Hunter Renfroe sitting on number 25. That is a Padre rookie record in terms of homers. That's here against Corey Guerin, and the new Giant pitcher misses outside, ball 1.
Corey Guerin's been excellent out of the bullpen as of late. Last 13 appearances in 11 innings of work. Only given up 1 earned run.
One of the top ERAs of any National League relief pitcher here in 2017. He's a bright spot certainly for them. And a very tough season here in San Francisco. Renfroe put a pretty good swing on one his last time up. That was against Cain in the 5th inning, sending it to deep center field. Had the first Padre hit back in the 3rd. Two balls and 2 strikes now to Hunter Renfroe.
You see Corey Guerin, he's not known for working quickly. Looks like he's has a staring contest out there.
It's interesting because most guys who take a while between pitches, it isn't after they come set.
Yeah, he's staring down the hitter. Fine focus. There he is. Staring contest. Staring contest. It's not finished.
Who's he looking at now?
This is where it's different than most guys who take a while. There's an antsy factor, you would think, and strike 3 called to Renfroe. 2 away in the 7th.
See the front door slider there from Guerin. This ball starts at Hedges, kind of freezes him a little bit, and
so it took five pitches and 5 minutes to strike out Renfroe. Now Hedges, yeah. 2 outs and the bases empty. Tie game here in San Francisco. Now he's ready. I would get jittery as a hitter, and who knows, maybe that's part of why he does it.
A lot of hitters don't want to just sit in the batter's box, and they'll call time.
Yeah.
And a lot of umpires don't want to afford you that time. Very difficult situation because you want to try to stay in rhythm, even though that hitter's not moving all over the place. You start getting a little stagnant. That drives you crazy. Whoa.
You're right. I mean, even when a hitter is in the box, there's still a rhythm that goes on in your head as you sit in that box waiting for that pitch to come. And when a pitcher like Guerin is just holding and looking in, it disrupts your timing. So you will see a lot of guys call timeout.
I think Corey Guerin has to have a conversation with All the pitchers that have that quick pitch mentality.
Yeah. Share some thoughts.
Yes.
He and Pedro Baez of the Dodgers could have a competition here.
In Baez's case, he just has a whole lot of different things going on. He walks around the mound. Once he gets on the rubber and he gets his sign, it moves relatively fast. But in between pitches is where his time takes up.
And that's normally what you see. That's
Right.
why I said this is very unusual. That, I mean, he comes set on the rubber.
They're having conversations with themselves. I know that.
Inside his own mind.
Yes.
A lot of talking.
Well, Buster Posey liked that location. They wanted it elevated. See that a lot against Austin Hedges with 2 strikes. See what they do here. Looks like he's going to the slider.
But first, a conversation. All right. Got it. Hey, took a while. Back-to-back strikeouts. Whatever works for you, I guess. So 1, 2, 3, 7 thrown by the Giant bullpen. Inning, and the 7th inning stretch is presented by your San Diego Hyundai dealers. Nice day at the ballpark, and pitching has ruled the day so far. New Padre pitcher here in the bottom of the 7th is Craig Stammen. Arcia reaches for it. How about Craig Stammen? They got him. That is as good as it gets. Craig Stammen with one of our plays of the year, a defensive gem from the Padre relief pitcher earlier this season in Milwaukee. And I love pitcher defense. I think it's fun. And he made that look so nonchalant and so routine. Very impressive.
Well, it was a sneaky good athlete under that uniform, too. It's not necessarily a lucky play, even though there was luck involved. The tough part was the throw.
Right.
I think once the ball is in his glove and the surprise of it having to be able to throw that light toss to home. I don't think any pitcher wants to do a light toss.
No, they don't want to do a light toss at all. The hard is, like you said, he catches that ball behind his back. And at that point, everything happens so fast, you almost have to throttle down to make that throw. But he's been tremendous really all year out of the bullpen for the Padres.
One of the huge positives from this 2017 season is what he provided.
I totally agree. And you could say it on the offensive side about Jose Perella in being the glue to the production of the offense.
Yeah.
You can say the same for Craig Stammen. I think he has been the glue. You're going to say Brad Hand is the MVP in that pitching staff. I think Craig Stammen has righted the ship after a struggle in April.
Yep.
He has been a very consistent reliever, and against the Giants in 6 relief appearances, 7 2/3 a shutout ball.
2-2 to Ryder Jones, leading off here in the 7th inning.
I mean, arguably the most consistent pitcher in the toughest spots all year long. I mean, you take away that April, I mean, he's had an unbelievable year on the mound in different situations, whether because after he struggled in April, he'd come in the 5th at some times, and as he got better, he pitched in tighter and tighter situations.
Another foul ball on 2-2.
You know, guys, he has voiced, obviously, he loves pitching in San Diego. He would like to be back. I would be interested to see what it's going to take to get him back, because relievers are very important in this league, as we know. Craig Stammen has put himself on that radar. But also after that trade with Kansas City, he has stabilized the bullpen in those high leverage situations.
That's a very good point.
Yeah, his role has definitely evolved as the season has gone on, in part, as you said, because of some early struggles, and in part because of the trade that sent both Ryan Buchter and Brandon Maurer to Kansas City. Just missed there, so now 3-2 to Jones. Stammen also has earned the reputation now of being one of those inherited runners guys, where he was so good in those bases loaded 1-out situations or whatever. He comes in, and a great job all season in what have to be the most difficult spots for any reliever.
Yeah, and you think of Andy Green and putting guys in there, having the trust to be able to have that. Craig Stammen, and obviously Brad Hand comes to mind as well. You need those relievers, and I think if you watch the success of the relief corps in years past with the Padres, you had Trevor being back there the last 3 outs. Well, you need to bridge that gap, and Craig Stammen is that.
Lead walk by Ryder Jones. Pretty good job there against Craig Stammen. Took a couple of close pitches. Gets himself on base. Time now for the San Diego fans of the game. You're mixing colors here. You got some brown, you got some yellow, you got some blue, you got the all-star hat from last year. Looking good, gentlemen.
A lot of
ladies.
moving parts around here. Right, Jess?
Yes.
Moving parts.
Moving parts in the booth.
Different unis.
Is that a Randy Jones jersey? I saw 5 on the back. Turn around. No.
He's it.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Good call.
Vindication.
Love that he's listening too.
I didn't know it worked that way, by the way. I could tell the guy to do something. Hey, pinch hitter Orlando Calixte ground into a double play. Saw Calixte last night. Came in to play right field the 8th inning, grounded out in his only at bat. He is 0 for his last 12. And perhaps trying to sacrifice himself here. Villanueva was ready for it. That is a 5-4 sacrifice. Jones into scoring position, and here in San Francisco, fun day of baseball. Back home in San Diego, also fun baseball. 5:40 this evening at Petco Park. You can come see the future. The on-deck game, it's free to get in. You got to go to Padres.com, I think, to print yourself out a ticket or get yourself a free ticket. But an opportunity to see Fernando Tatis Jr., who is just stellar at Single-A Fort Wayne this year for the Padres. Got a little bit of a taste of Double-A guys, and one of the most well-regarded prospects at this point now in all of baseball.
Yeah, and that youth has served, obviously, in this organization. He is going to be hitting 3rd in the lineup tonight. I think really indicates the type of season he has had, what the organization thinks. Also, Hudson Potts is another one of those guys that you think of. He's going to be playing 3rd. And Jacob Nix looks like he's going to get the start tonight. Big, tall right-hander, big legs, good frame. It's going to be interesting to watch that and be able to see those highlights.
Tony, you and I were talking the other day about the different jumps when you're in your minor league career, and that jump to Double-A, that's a pretty significant one, yeah?
That's the hardest jump. You know, it's where I guess men kind of distinguished themselves from the boys. You start to see velocity in that A ball, but now you're starting to see, once you get to Double A, you're starting to see guys who can control it and put the ball where they want to on the plate. Get a little more movement now. Guys start experimenting with the cutter, and you start seeing more sinkers. Those ground balls hit in the infield are no longer, you can run these bad boys out anymore. The plays are made, they're a lot more crisp, and there's less hits out there for you.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty interesting level too, because now you start seeing in baseball that guys jump from Double A to the big leagues and forego that Triple A. But now it starts to get real. To your point, Tony, it's a better brand of baseball, and there's another level of experience at Triple A. But when it comes down to it, Double A to the big leagues isn't as big of a jump anymore.
No.
When it comes down to organizations and what they think of their players.
We've really started to see that take place over the last 10, 15 years. Double A being the spot where all the prospects were going to see if they could make that jump to the big league level. And guys need seasoning. Yeah, they send them to Triple A. They need to experience at bats, innings, whatever it may be. You send those guys to Triple A, but you start putting yourself on the map when you're playing well at the Double A level.
Two balls, 2 strikes to Hunter Pence. Potential go-ahead run in scoring position, and there's a base hit up the middle. Jones is rounding third. He will score without a throw. Hunter Pence has driven in both giant runs. 2-1 San Francisco here in the 7th. A lead walk, a sac bunt, and now a ground ball base hit.
Well, Jess, you got to go back to that at bat. Ryder Jones ended up walking him. I thought there were a couple close pitches that were not called that got him to first base. The sacrifice bunt gets him to second, and Hunter Pence comes up with a big hit for the Giants.
Pence with an RBI fielder's choice back in the 2nd inning. That gave San Francisco a 1-0 lead. Myers tied it with the homer in the 6th. And now 2-1 Giants with Joe Panik at the plate. He goes after the first pitch. He'll send Margot back. And well makes the catch. Out number 2, Pence back to first. Now a couple of former Nationals go head to head. Craig Stammen and Denard Span.
You don't have to necessarily worry about stolen base threat for Hunter Pence. Only 2 stolen bases on the year. It's been caught once.
Yeah, a lot of times when players have had growing or hamstring injuries, as Pence has had this year, stealing a base can be tough on the legs. You want to get through this season healthy, and that's probably why you've seen the low total number of stolen bases by Pence. Not that he's a stolen base guy, but he usually runs more than that.
Certainly in the arsenal. He took off there and then kind of slammed on the brakes, and a foul ball, so 0-2 to Span. Span now 9 for his last 20. Singled in his first at bat here today. Struck out his last time. Another close pitch, and now a ball and 2 strikes.
Stammen not missing by much on these pitches. Not getting the call on very many of them, though. Mark, I have a question for you. You played first base a little bit in your career. What is your take on the setup for Wil Myers as far as not really being the prototypical, you know, on the bag with the swipe? Is there a reason for that?
I think it's more defensive versatility. He doesn't get off the bag as well.
Okay.
And I think it just puts him in a tough position right there to be able to apply the tag. Now, that being said, there's a lot of video review, so his tags have to be on the back part of the leg. And if it's close, I don't think that gives him the benefit, even though that tag for a right-handed first baseman's a lot tougher than a lefty. Lefty, you could just drop it down if you're on the bag, but Wil Myers' momentum is not benefiting him defensively too much. I think that has to be an adjustment moving forward. I think a lot of it has a lot to do with comfort when it comes to Wil Myers. Try to be simplified and be careful what they're asking him to do, because it's been a tough time at defensively this year compared to last. And I think that position you start getting in your head, it gets a little difficult.
It's much more nuanced than people really know over there at first base.
Sure is.
Another pickoff attempt, and this time he gets back in standing.
You know, Jesse, you remember John Olerud used to do that, but it was with left-handed pitchers. So they had the ability to freeze runners. And John Olerud was a big guy. So you'd have to look around him if you were a runner. So it made it very difficult to get that lead and feel comfortable you were out there.
I remember
it almost worked as a screen.
Yeah.
Like you really,
he moved with the guy. Yeah.
Right. So even when you got your secondary, he was partially in your way on the secondary, and you had to take that hard step back, and you had to really be defensive running because back pick could come.
Definitely.
And he was always in position to be able to put the tag down.
Good battle here between these former Nationals teammates, Craig Stammen and Denard Span. Pence is playing his role as a base runner at first, and now time asked for at the plate.
You've really seen this time and time again with Denard Span, fouling pitches off, extending at bats. In that first inning of last night's game, he ends up flying out to center, but he had a lot to do with those 3 runs, in my opinion, by the way he worked the count and had that 10-pitch at bat.
On 1-2, just outside. Stammen threw on Wednesday night at Dodger Stadium. An uneventful inning. And now working in the next to last day of the season here in San Francisco. On 2-2, another foul ball. Span had a 10-pitch at bat in the first inning yesterday. It ended with a flyout. But the next 3 batters went double, single, double against Jordan Lyles. And it's hard to imagine that Span's long at bat didn't have something to do with what took place after.
Well, to your point, Jesse, yes, it does. It wears the pitcher down, but also you gain information. Gain what he is trying to do, if he has an out pitch, if he has that elimination pitch. And Buster Posey, when you're on the on-deck circle, you're just taking a look at what that release point is and what he is trying to do.
He had an 8-pitch at bat in the 5th. This is the 8th pitch of this confrontation, and another foul ball.
And it's not so much that it wears the pitcher down physically, because it's the first inning. In yesterday's case, they have more than enough stamina to get through, but mentally having to lock in and continue to make quality pitch after quality pitch, it adds stress. Mental fatigue is real in this game.
I'm going to show it 2 days from now.
Well, the good news is you won't have a game to get ready for it. It's recovery time 2 days from now. Another 2-2 pitch. And a liner down the left field line, again foul.
I think there's dying breeds in the game now. Guys that have 2 strikes and they don't care. You see that certain calmness. They're almost excited to get to 2 strikes because it simplifies your approach. You can just take that short swing, set your feet, set your base, and be able to play pepper with the baseball.
That's right.
This is pitch number 10 from Stammen to Span. There will be an 11th.
Now, if we take a look at our Nissan Fox tracks and how all of those pitches going against Denard Span, it's all over the map.
Now a full count, 3-2.
There's the pitches on our Fox tracks. A lot of them on the outside part of the plate. Saw that last one in. Let's see if he goes breaking ball to put him away.
And those pitches that are off the plate, the only reason why he's able to get to those pitches is because he is trying to play pepper. If he takes too big a swing, he's swinging right through those balls.
Pence will run on 3-2. Pitch number 12 is high. Wow. Now you got their best hitter coming up.
Well, this is where it hurts because mentally you just went through a battle. And for Craig Stammen to maybe go out there and just take a breather, know what the situation is. Because to your point, Jesse, here comes Buster Posey, who had 3 doubles last night.
And Posey in his career against Craig Stammen is 6 for 10 with a double. 3 doubles last night, 2 singles here this afternoon. Giants have taken the lead here in the 7th inning. Hunter Pence RBI single. He's now at second base with Span at first. Margot has got it. The Giants, though, retake the lead here in the bottom of the 7th inning. 2-1 San Francisco. Travis Jankowski to lead off here as a pinch hitter against Hunter Strickland. Padres now down by a run in the 8th inning. And yeah, we got one race left. Everything else is settled.
Yeah, you think about that. And the Milwaukee Brewers have been a really good story all year long. Craig Counsell has done a fabulous job with that club. Obviously the young talent, but they're going to have to be big fans of the Los Angeles Dodgers tonight. And Clayton Kershaw is on the mound, 18-4 record going against German Marquez. So I think the pretty good chance that the Dodgers will have an opportunity to win that game.
You're going out on a limb there.
I am. I'm going to throw it out there.
You like the Kershaw end of the Kershaw-Marquez matchup.
I think that is, I don't care where he is playing, if he's pitching on the moon, he'll be fine. Plus he's looking for a Cy Young award, and with all that time on the disabled list and that opportunities, it's a big game for Clayton Kershaw.
It is.
Rockies young pitching this year, real story though. Be interesting to see how that develops over the long term. They had some good highlights this year from some of those young pitchers, but it's just a different deal having to pitch there.
Yeah, you think about Kyle Freeland, what he did this year at the beginning of the year. Obviously you're thinking of John Gray moving forward in that wild card game against Zach Greinke. That should be a outstanding matchup.
3-2 now to Jankowski. Strickland gets the heater past him in 96.
That Rockies Dodger game tonight, it's an interesting matchup because the Rockies faced him about a week ago in Los Angeles and handled him very well.
Payoff pitch, and he got it. Tomorrow afternoon, game 162 of the 2017 season. A couple of fun guys to watch pitch. Luis Perdomo will get the start for the Padres. Johnny Cueto, he can opt out of his contract after this year. He's not expected to, but always an interesting guy to watch out on the mound. A couple of 8-game winners. It's amazing, by the way. You look at the win-loss record and the ERA for those two guys. Very similar in terms of those particular statistics this year. Different points in their careers, of course. 12:05 first pitch tomorrow. Remember, everybody plays at the same time now on the final day of the season. I love that.
I do too, and I think it's important because there's too many times where if you were on the West Coast and you already had that result that affected your game, they could make changes like that benefited team. So I like that.
Yeah.
Margot pops it up. Sandoval in the sun, able to find it at the last moment. Margot still looking for his first hit of the series. It's not the biggest watercraft you'll ever see, but it gets the job done.
Don't lean.
It's a lot of guys in that thing. They're moving pretty good though.
They are.
They must have at least 5 horsepower on the back of that. Two outs and the base is empty here in the 8th. Swai trying to chop it over the third baseman Jones. He does, but Crawford is there, not in time.
Oh my.
Brandon Crawford. What an effort. It'll be an infield single. Padres will bring the go-ahead run to the plate with Will Myers coming up. That's a big deal, but a sensational chance at shortstop.
Ryder Jones playing in on the grass, and watch the effort of Brandon Crawford. The bare hand and then the one hopper to first. Obviously not going to get a Swahe, but you have to marvel of his creativity.
It's very Ozzie Smith-esque right there. The fact that that was even close to being a play was amazing.
Perfect situation though. The right guy up for the Padres. Couple of hits on the day for Will, including the home run his last time. Fouls it back and down 1-0. 2 outs in the 6th inning. Will Myers against Reyes Moranta, number 30. That's what, his 6th of the year at AT&T Park. All of them hit to left and left center.
Ties Greg Vaughn for the Padre record. 6 home runs against the Giants in a season. Which, by the way, is more than any right-hander the Giants have on their ball club this year.
Brandon Belt, the only guy with more home runs for them at this ballpark than Myers has for the Padres.
Pretty incredible. I miss Hody and the Blowfish. Craig Vaughn, Darius Rucker.
I do too. He was the life of the party.
He lives very close to here in Sacramento. But yes, 50 home runs in 1998. We all jumped on his back. Think about that. The 30 home runs that Will Myers had, 20 more. Catapulted us into the playoffs, which we made a pretty good run until the Yankees came into town.
Two balls and 2 strikes now.
As a kid watching that, it seemed like he was hitting a homer every day.
Yeah.
It really did.
Yeah, we were grinding because he had 49, and you talk about those milestones, Jesse. His last at bat, he puts it in the bullpen in Arizona, and we all erupted like we won the World Series.
Right center field this time for Myers. Span calls off Pence, and Span cuts in front of him to make the catch. And in the top of the 8th inning. A little bit dicey, but the Padres leave the tying run aboard here in the 8th. San Diego presents Padres baseball, brought to you by Petco, where the pets go, and by the all-new Subaru Impreza. Subaru symmetrical all-wheel drive plus 28 miles per gallon. More than a car, it's a Subaru. Willie Mays statue here at AT&T Park in San Francisco. Giants a 2-1 lead in the bottom of the 8th inning. Hunter Pence an RBI ground out in the 2nd. Hunter Pence an RBI single in the 7th. Those are the 2 runs that separate us. Buddy Baumann, the new Padre pitcher, and the left-hander misses inside to Brandon Crawford. 1-0 in the bottom of the 8th.
Looking forward to seeing the 23rd game of Buddy Baumann. See against lefties, very good. Only a 154 average, so that is really the determining factor moving forward of how he is going to be in the mix.
Baumann got off to a late start this year after a bicycle accident in spring training. Hurt his shoulder. It's a tough break for a guy, and looked pretty good here in his big league action this season, but 3-0 to Crawford with Sandoval and Parker scheduled to follow. Plus there's the mustache. Ball 4. So a leadoff walk, and now our Bill Howe plays of the game. Hey, Jhoulys Chacín 6 innings today. 1 run, 5 hits, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. Another really strong start as he matched his career high 32nd start of the season, and a kind of a fitting solid outing for his last start of 2017.
Yeah, I got to agree with you, Jesse. After the first 2 innings, a lot of pitches. He settled down, very economical. Moving forward, you saw that improved slider as the game went along and a good feel for pitching. But again, very good year, to your point, for Jhoulys Chacín. Spin it all you want. He pitched very well at Petco Park, improved as the year went on the road, but also gave in innings, in important innings, but also within the clubhouse in his leadership.
Yes. I think that part is easy to overlook because it's not visibly seen by the naked eye unless you're around this ball club all the time.
Sandoval loves that elevated fastball. Couldn't find it that time. 0-2.
32 starts for Chacín. Came into today's ball game with a 3.98 ERA at the top of the rotation. And as you mentioned, the innings, the leadership. Certainly the young guys on this ball club, young pitchers on this ball club, had some unbelievable examples to look in at day in and day out, whether it's Clayton Richard or Chacín or Stammen in the bullpen. They had so many examples to look at as far as preparation and how to get themselves ready for a big league game. Those things are valuable.
Sandoval strikes out against Baumann. That's out number 1 in the 8th.
Well, Sandoval is a lot stronger on the left side. They turn him around, and Buddy Baumann exposes him at the top of the zone. Very efficient pitching. You can see being able to pitch over the barrel of the bat.
Crawford led with a walk. He's at first base, 1 down. And another couple left-handed hitters due now for the Giants. Parker, who's hit by a pitch, and now Ryder Jones.
Well, Buddy Baumann hasn't made the adjustment yet. I think he was fortunate that Pablo Sandoval, after the 4-pitch walk to Crawford, expanded the zone for him. But he still has not made the adjustment. Everything's been arm side high. And there's another lefty coming up now.
Yeah, you hit him on the wallet.
Saw Kirby Yates was throwing. So perhaps one last chance here for Baumann against the left-handed hitter. And he gets ahead of Jones, 0-1. No balls and 2 strikes to the left-handed hitting Ryder Jones. Got him. 1, 2, and 3. Interesting inning for Buddy Baumann. He's gone walk, strikeout, hit by pitch, strikeout.
You see him make the adjustment in this at bat here. Is able to hit his spot away again, though, pitching at the top of the zone, and that's by design. Pitching over the barrel. And as you said, Jesse, it has been an interesting inning. A walk, a hit by pitch, but his 2 outs have come via the strikeout.
It's another right-handed hitting pinch hitter, Kelby Tomlinson. They'll let him face him. Mentioned that Yates was throwing, but right on top with a strike, 0-1. Tomlinson pinch hit in the 7th last night, popped out. Breaks his bat here and flares one into foul territory and out of play. That foul out last night was that nice running catch by Jose Torres, the pitcher.
That was impressive. He got off the mound very quickly in no man's land. Like the closer for the Giants, Dyson, his warming up in their bullpen.
Confirmed. Got him picked off. Crawford took off early. Bauman ran right at him. Got a little bit turned around. And now one last game of pickle here in 2017. Nicely done. That'll end the 8th inning. One-run game as we go to the 9th at AT&T. Trying to avoid losing a series to the Giants for the first time since last May. Time to revisit our keys to the game, brought to you by your San Diego Honda dealers. All right, Mark Sweeney.
Well, last night was awful. So today you can't get any worse. So bust out the candy cane. Well, I did get worse. See, Matt Cain did very well against the Padres, and Chacin gives 6+, 6 innings. It was an excellent effort. And you saw 88 pitches, 60 for strikes, and he settled in very nicely for a nice year in a Padre uniform.
Really very, very nice. And look, on a day when the Padres score 4 or 5 runs, you're saying, hey, that's another easy win for Jhoulys Chacin. Not the case, though, and now the former Ranger Sam Dyson on to try and close it out for the Giants. Solarte, Villanueva, and Spangenberg down a run here in the top of the 9th inning. Dyson acquired in June from Texas. Kind of assumed the closer role at the beginning of July for the Giants. Mark Melancon has had an injury-plagued season in his first year in San Francisco. And the first pitch of the inning is caught out in left field by Jared Parker. 1 away.
Now, first step by Jared Parker, very good in left field. You got to deal with the sun if you're in left field here at AT&T Park during a day game.
Giants coming out of this series. As you take a look at the combined numbers for Dyson, having lost 2 out of 3 in Arizona. He blew a save on Wednesday against the Diamondbacks. Just the second that he has blown in a Giant uniform. Now Villanueva, and a strike.
You said it last night, Tony. Villanueva has done a very nice job on the breaking ball. So if he misses with that slider, gives you that cement mixer, could tie this up.
Saw him send one out the other way at Dodger Stadium. Homered in 4 straight starts at home on the homestand. And a chopper. Brandon Crawford has been making plays all day. That time he throws it away. And Villanueva bumped by Sandoval on his way to second base. Is he going to try for 3? No. But the Padres now with the tying run in scoring position here with 1 out in the 9th. Well, it'll be an infield single and an error.
Sorry, Jesse. This ball had a lot of spin off the bat, and you can see. Watch the last hop. It kicks to his right, and adds a little bit of difficulty on that throw. See, the collision after that throw is down the right field line. Villanueva easily gets into second base.
Matt Caesar will run for him. And Corey Spangenberg comes to bat. Think about the Giants and the bullpen. Obviously, Melanson brought in as a free agent. Opening day that Sunday afternoon in the desert against the Diamondbacks, he blew the save. And he said, all right, it's just one game. And, you know, the Giants have all these expectations. And I would never say they never recovered from that, but it just sort of seemed to set the tone of what this year would be like for them.
You can even go back to the All-Star break the previous year. Santiago Castilla was mostly their closer. He had all kinds of blown saves. They go out and get Melanson. He blows his first one, to your point.
Strike two on Spangenberg.
It really set the tone, and it was a tailspin for the San Francisco Giants. A lot of people had them tabbed as a playoff team.
Caesar 180 feet away from tying this game. Spangenberg in the hole, 0-2. Little floater into left field. Caesar had to wait. He's only going to get to third base, but it is a base hit. And now runners on the corners, one out. Hunter Renfroe coming up.
Yeah, because of a really good first step there again by Parker, forces Caesar to have to hesitate a little bit. Nevertheless, Spangenberg fights off a pitch. Another cutter, just inside outs it, drops it right in front of Parker for a single.
It was interesting how Dyson didn't change that eye level. Continued to pitch up in the strike zone to Corey Spangenberg. He fought that off nicely.
So now the potential tying run 90 feet away for the Padres. And Renfroe has to get out of the way. Ball one from Dyson.
That'll be a perfect time for a 3-run jack.
Here's the 1-1 to Renfroe, and now strike two.
R2-seamer boring in on the hands of Hunter Renfroe there. Almost looked as though he started swinging and realized he didn't want to swing. At that point, it was too late.
On 1-2, he holds up, and now 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Well, Hunter Renfroe's asking Andy to take a look at that. Might have caught that uniform.
He says he's hit by a pitch. It is something, of course, that the Padres can challenge, and that would push the potential go-ahead run into scoring position. Hard to tell, but based on his reaction, probably did. Yeah. Just hard to see. Two away. Timeout. The Carl's Jr. star of the game, Matt Cain, making his final big league start. He went 5 shutout innings. He allowed only 2 hits. He struck out 4. He left with the opportunity to be the winning pitcher. Padres would tie the game up against the Giant bullpen, so the victory was no longer in hand for him. But what a conclusion, and what a career for Matt Cain.
Tip of the cap to my former teammate, and you know what? He did it the right way. He should be very proud of how he represented himself and the Giant organization.
Tremendous run with this ball club.
And now it's left up to Austin Hedges. Runners on the corners, 2 outs. Padres down by a run in the 9th. Dyson's first pitch is fouled away.
I've seen Dyson really work that 2-seamer into right-handers. Hunter Renfroe trying to set that up. So you know he has that slider to go to, the slider cutter combination. That 2-seamer's moving a lot.
Spangenberg at first, Caesar at third.
I think you got to look out over the plate here if you're Austin Hedges.
I think you're right, Swain. I think he hasn't commanded that 2-seamer in well enough for you to give it any credence. So why not look out over the plate, which is really the only pitch he's been able to locate with any consistency.
The 0-2 to Hedges, and lined out towards right center field on the run. Pence will not get there. It's over his head. The game is tied. Spangenberg is rounding third. The Padres are going to take the lead. Austin Hedges, a 2-out, 2-strike, 2-run, 2-base hit. They were on their feet here in San Francisco, and Austin Hedges just turned off the sound.
Gotta love this effort by Austin Hedges. 2 strikes on him, and he takes the ball the other way, smashes his past Hunter Pence and in the gap. And the emotion. Nice work for Austin Hedges.
And now a guy that has terrorized his former team all season long, Hector Sanchez.
That's just a quality adjustment there by Hedges. I think that's also him paying attention to the at-bat before. Clearly, Dyson almost hit a few guys with that sinker, at that 2-seamer in. So much easier for a hitter to look out and adjust in than to look in and adjust out.
You know, Jesse, a big to do about this inning is Brandon Crawford's error to start this inning off Villanueva. He gets him to second base, but then also Corey Spangenberg fighting off a 2-strike pitch. Setting up the heroics for Austin Hedges.
Last night, all 8 Giant runs came with 2 outs. Here in the 9th, with Brad Hand now warming. Austin Hedges on 0-2. Gets the big hit. 2-2 now on Sanchez.
Well, we set up the struggles about the San Francisco Giants all year this year. And it has a lot to do with pitching out of the bullpen. Struggles of Mark Melanson, their free agent signing, but also see Sam Dyson struggling in this 9th.
Hey, if you're Bruce Bochy, what else can you do? You had your closer out there, 9th inning. It is what it is. Sanchez strikes out to end it, but the Padres strike. Some 2-out thunder provided by the Padre catcher. A 2-run double up over Hunter Pence gave the Padres a 1-run lead. Now it's Brad Hand time in the bottom of the 9th. Out of the ninth inning because of Austin Hedges, a 2-run, 2-out double in the top of the ninth. Turned a 2-1 Giant lead into a 3-2 Padre advantage, an advantage that now Brad Hand is going to try and close off for what would be his 21st save of the year.
Well, after holding on to him at the trading deadline, Brad Hand has been dominating, and you see the K's 103, second consecutive year with over 100 punch-outs.
Only the second Padre reliever to ever do that. You get one guess who the other was. Pinch hitter and technically a former Padre, Tim Fedorovich. Veteran catcher. Spent most of this year at AAA with the Giants, and he grounds one right to Solarte. That is one out. Fedorovich was with the Padres after the Matt Kemp trade. He came with Kemp from the Dodgers, but got hurt during spring training that year. Never appeared in a regular season game. Now top of the order, Hunter Pence.
I truly believe this is how you're going to see most hitters try to attack Brad Hand. It's going to be early in the count because it's almost impossible once he gets 2 strikes on you. His location with the fastball and the slider is as good as there is right now in baseball.
2 of those 4 hits for Pence against Hand are doubles, and that's a fastball low, 1-0.
Yeah, to your point, Tony, I think it has everything to do with him spinning a breaking ball. Got the good curveball, the good slider, and he'll throw it any time.
Brad Hand at 2.18 ERA this year. As mentioned, the back-to-back 100 strikeout seasons. Had a 24-inning scoreless streak. They ran from June through August. Another remarkable year. And now strike 1 to Hunter Pence. You could never look at Brad Hand and have any idea what the game situation was.
Yeah, home plate umpire Ted Barrett. He's done a fabulous job today with his consistency, but he has not given the top of the strike zone.
Yeah.
But you want that consistency, and the crew chief has done that all day long.
On 3-1, he goes after a high pitch, and he skies it to right. Renfroe makes the catch, 2 away. Advantage Hand. Got some shadows now around home plate as well.
Makes it difficult. Basically the spin out of the hand just creeping into that hitting area, so it's not too bad right now.
Panic takes inside, 2 balls and no strikes. Padres were down to their final out. They took the lead. Now it's the Giants down to their final out. And strike 1 to Joe Panic, who tonight or today is 0 for 3 with a walk. Grounded out to Aswahe a couple of times. Brad Hand not missing by much.
Yeah, back-to-back 3-1 counts. He's going to have to throw a strike here. I want to start creeping into the middle of the order.
Bernard Span would be next. And now it's the Giants who are down to their final stretch. Good drama all afternoon long.
You know, the emotion of what the game really presented early in this ball game with Matt Cain, also Jhoulys Chacín. Come right into a one-run ball game that's typical here at AT&T Park.
Two teams have played close games all season long. This is the 6th one-run game of the year between them if it ends that way. Padres 11-6 against the Giants this season. If Brad Hand is able to close this out, they will prevent, at least for the moment, the Giants from winning a series against the Padres for the first time since last May 2016. Payoff pitch to Panic, and he stays alive again.
A lot of fastballs as a bat. You wonder if he's going to spin that breaking ball here.
Another 3-2 pitch, and he got him. Perfect slider to freeze Panic, and the comeback win is complete. Brad Hand with save number 21 on the season, and the Padres a 3-2 win here in San Francisco. A fun one. Padres Live is next. Mike Pomerantz, what have you got?